I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for we. Bam, we're here. The Grand Line, baby. Okay, the Grand Line. There's a lot to unpack, so let me just get into it. The Grand Line is where the bulk of the story takes place. This is where the One Piece is hidden. Supposedly, who knows, right? Allegedly. Not for the faint of heart. There could be storms, typhoons, fucking tornadoes, you name it. And it just, at the drop of a hat, it could just happen. Boom, boom, boom. Oda likes to get real crazy with it. He likes to draw real wild stuff, like candy rain, and you got islands with dinosaurs and shit like that. You're like, this is a wacky place. So, first and foremost, because of the Red Line, and it basically splits the world in half, the Grand Line is split in half also, and you got two names for it. You got Paradise. Paradise is the first half where the Straw Hats enter, and on the other side of the Red Line, you got the New World. And you're like, okay, why is it called two different things? And that's a good question. I don't really know. I don't fucking know. But yeah, you do realize why it's called Paradise when they get to the New World. Because you got fucking, in the New World, you got a boiling sea, and you got a fucking island that, like, rains down lightning 100% of the time. It's just bombarded with fucking lightning. So, yeah, the New World is such a dangerous sea. It makes the first half look like paradise. Hey, you like what I did there, huh? Okay. Here's another thing. You can't just enter the Grand Line and just go from island to island. Tra-la-la-la-la, however you want to. The way it's explained is there are 7 distinct paths you could take. Almost like roads. And once you're on this road, you know what I'm saying? That's the route you're taking. And it's basically due to a lot of different things. The different climates on the islands and the spaces in between them kind of throw off the magnetic compasses, if you will. You also need a couple things if you want to navigate the Grand Line. You need something called the log pose, and that's basically the compass you need to get from island to island. And what it does is it tracks on one island, right? And that's the island it points you to. Let's say you land on there. You have to wait a certain time. You have to let it reset. And then once it resets, it'll log on to the next island. Flink on the Grand Line. Always taking you down that path to the other side of the Red Line. So it'll lock on, bink, onto the next island. Now, if you ever, let's say you land on island blah blah blah, right? And you leave and you go to the next island, you wanted to go back to island blah blah blah, you need what is called an eternal pose. An eternal pose will always lock onto that island. Let's say it's called a island blah 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 eternal pose. It'll always lock back onto that island so you can go back there. And you actually see Nami kind of like collecting these throughout the story. But yeah, that's how you go back to that island. That's if you wanted to go back, but we only go 4, baby. It is what it is. So yeah, that just covers kind of like the weather you're going to encounter while you're on the Grand Line. And it also covers the navigation, how to get to each island on the Grand Line, right? And along with the eternal poses if you want to go back to an island. I'm going to talk about the islands themselves now. The islands themselves are a little bit weird. Each island is classified by their climate. So you'll have a winter island, right? Like Drum Island. You'll have a summer island, like Alabasta. You have different ones, right? And they also go through their regular stages too. So a summer island, when it's in the summer mode, is fucking extra hot, right? And the same thing for a winter island when it's in the winter time. Like, it's fucking extra cold. And they all go through it. The winter island will go through the summer part, then the autumn part, the winter part, then the spring part. You know what I mean? Regular schmegular. That's why navigating each island is so tricky. You know what I mean? Every island is different magnetic fields. So it makes sense that the spaces in between the islands are super fluctuated, as we should say. You know what I mean? That's my sci-fi movie knowledge.
You are really dumb, for real.
That's a good word, right? I don't know. A big thing to look for when you watch One Piece is when they're approaching a new island. Let's say they're approaching a winter island, right? And like there's a bunch of tornadoes and shit. They had just encountered a bunch of tornadoes and fucking typhoons on the Grand Line. When they're approaching a winter island, the weather will stabilize for whatever reason. It'll stabilize, and then it will shortly start becoming. Let's say they're approaching the winter island, it'll start to snow. Shh. And Nami will always be like, "Oh, my log post, blah blah blah, is acting up." That's because I don't know, for whatever reason, the weather stabilizes and it like just kind of calms down and then starts to revert to whatever nearby island, you know. But yeah, it'll basically match. It'll match to the nearby island's weather. But yeah, that's the Grand Line for you in a nutshell. That covers kind of the navigation part, the weather part, all that little good stuff, just real quick. And if some of you have seen One Piece and you're like, hey, Smoke, you're missing out all the islands they stop by. You're missing out Skypiea, all that good shit. Enies Lobby. When it comes to the islands they stop by, I'm going to kind of break down each arc just to spread out my content. You feel me? I'm going to cover those in the arcs. And then when it comes to Skypiea also, I'll probably break down the geographic part of Skypiea. But for all you guys that don't know about Skypiea is like fucking up in the clouds, basically. You know, kind of like your boy when he decides to twist one of them damn things up on his spare time. Bink! Hey, you know, for real though, slap that like button. Help your boy out. Help push my videos out into that world, bro. I'm trying to make some shmoney out this. Subscribe if you want to see more of my shit. It's completely free. You don't got to pay a damn dime. You feel me? I need 1,000 subscribers to start getting monetized, start getting money out this. You feel me? We're Grandline bound, baby. I appreciate y'all.